Folks, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show. Such an honor to connect here on Tuesday with quite the innovator of the steel drum, also a drummer in his own right. David Taheri, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Hello.
Can you just talk in your life in general about how healing rhythm has been in your life? Psychically, psychologically, only because, I went to psychotherapy for many years of my life, and I love it, it's good to talk it out. But there's something about rhythm that is ultimately very healing. And I realize that you are not an elder, but I just wanted you to talk about how integral rhythm has been to your psychic healing.
Well, I guess
there's no right or wrong answer either. You just riff it.
I don't know how to really put it. I guess ever since I started listening to music, it's just been a nice thing to do. It gives me an emotional reaction whether I like it or not, and it just makes me feel nice for the most part.
How were you exposed to music? I mean, you do have that vibe of being a little bit behind the beat. You're very laid back. A lot of the older cats are like that. I mean, can you talk about your exposure, what kinds of music you were exposed to early on?
Well, first off, I was exposed to, I guess, some like orchestral music, mainly from video games I played when I was a kid.
Definitely, dude. That's some good stuff.
Though, yeah, I played a lot of RPGs and stuff, and the soundtrack really caught on to me, like the soundtrack of Dark Souls and Monster Hunter.
To check that out.
I was a fan of all that, and I guess I kind of listened to it a lot. But then I got into Final Fantasy soundtrack and all that. It was really nice. I really enjoyed the orchestral.
Could you tell from your ears whether that stuff was being made synthetically or by real human beings?
Considering that some of them are old, like PS1 games, they were probably started off with MIDI. But there was this one for the opening cutscene of Final Fantasy VIII that has like a fully orchestrated opening.
You got to send me that clip.
Yeah, it's a very nice intro, and the cutscene adds to it. And
this is like so much of music, your generation especially, through no fault of your own, just because we're saturated with so much technology, so much music is made in isolation by yourself. And I just wonder about if it dawned on you at a certain point that it was going to be, to me, the magic is what I saw the other night, is the conversation on the bandstand. It's not about look at me, it's everybody reacting to the sound around them. Can you talk about a seminal early experience of communal spiritual music that you played? Outside of getting off on, just wanking it in your room or whatever.
What does seminal mean?
Just something that you recognized where it was like when you stopped listening to yourself and started listening to everything around you, that's when the magic of music really took over.
Well, I guess it happened when I started playing jazz. I went to my high school jazz combo, and I'm primarily a drum kit player.
You're a kit player. I love that.
Yeah.
Dude, I would have had you bring your kit.
This is actually, my drum kit is
I've had big drum kits back here.
No, it's it's not the greatest. I don't.
Yeah, but you know what the bottom line is that, like, it could be the worst kit in the world. It's all about your soul. You generate the best sound out of that stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, but
so you got into the combo and take it away.
Well, I started playing. I listened to a lot of jazz at the time. Not like a lot, but I listened to at least enough to get my grasp on some stuff that we might do. And for a while, I got the general gist of it until my instructor told me to play a bossa nova. And I was like, what is that? So eventually I had to get the gist of it, and I learned how to play a bossa nova at some point.
That is so funny you bring that up, because I was commissioned a while back to do a bunch of phone interviews for a documentary on Stan Getz, and I don't know tragically if it'll ever come out. The man was a genius. Obviously, you must know The Girl from Ipanema and stuff like that. But
that was the song I had to learn.
I love it because I mean, literally, I just got an inquiry from a documentary film company about using part of my interview with Creed Taylor, who produced those sessions, and really, the beat came from João Gilberto.
Oh.
The 2-beat rhythm. That's what was. Can you talk about that rhythm? How you learned to get that bossa beat, because it wasn't samba, it was bossa nova.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, I don't know how, but I was
That's
just
good, yeah.
looking at it, and then I was like, just do it.
Agassi, Andre Agassi, just do it, man.
It came to me over like in a day after weeks of trying it over and over again, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's just that easy.
Well, it just felt so good.
Mm-hmm.
It finally felt right.
Yeah, because it's like, to be fair, I didn't really practice that much at home. It was like I get home, I'm tired, I do something, I go to bed. But then I decided to just take a couple minutes out of my jazz combo class to actually try and play it and read how it goes on the sheet music. And my mind just went, just play these notes in this order. And I was like, oh, okay.
Right, it just clicked.
And it just happened.
I love this. Are you kidding me? Really?
No.
Now, you were playing to records, or did you actually get into a combo where you had to play a bossa tune?
Yeah, that was for high school. We played
Girl
Girl
from
from
Ipanema.
Ipanema.
Do we have recordings of that? I think I need to hear you cooking the groove on that, dude.
I don't think I have recordings, though. This was in my very early stages.
I'm just kidding, man. I think it's freaking awesome. I think it's the evolution of it. I mean, you're not into the R word. Rehearsal can be a dirty word. I mean, in terms of you could over rehearse something and take all the soul out of it. And I just wonder about your philosophy as it relates to, like, you come home at night, you're tired, you're not going to be playing the practice pad per se, you're not going to be doing the rudiments. What is the best way for you to feel creative, to keep your chops up, and also just sort of keep your body, being able to dance in your own body?
Well, funny that you mentioned it. I did actually, when I got my drum set, I practiced like 8 hours a day every day.
Sure.
To be honest, I was practicing.
Most people do.
And I was practicing so much that it was just like I started getting blisters on my fingers.
Started bleeding, yeah.
I think not that far.
Not like the upright bass player with the callus is bleeding, but
yeah, that's my friend Spencer. He's the one.
I need to talk to Spencer immediately, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, you were shedding so hard that you couldn't even play, I guess.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I even learned at some point how to use a double kick, but I've completely lost the capabilities to do that.
Dude,
now.
You're a monster player, dude. I love this, dude.
So, yeah, this was in the summer of my 8th grade. Though,
double kick drum, man.
Yeah, double kick. I was just like...
That's the best. That seems like you have 8 limbs at that point, you know?
Yeah, and sometimes I look back and I was like, oh, geez, I'm glad I'm much better than I was then. But I haven't really practiced as much as I did then. Sometimes I'll do like a couple minutes a day occasionally, but I've been practicing a lot on my steel drum recently.
Talk about this was cathartic for Jake Feinberg as a host, because there used to be a great R&B jam session down South Side that it's now a Chicago bar, but it was over at this Hush Social Club, but it got shuttered, and so I've only recently started going to the jam session at the Century Room, and I kind of dawned on me the other day, should have been right in front of my face, but I mean, it is hard to sit in because those cats are burning. And you get up there with a freaking steel drum.
Yeah.
And you're not playing you're not like part of the rhythm section. I mean, you are, but you are also stretching and improvising. And I just wonder, the journey, when was that another sort of came through you, just sort of fell through you enlightenment thing? Because I don't know. I mean, I've seen steel drum cats.
Well,
and I know that, and most of them, it's just an ensemble which everybody plays their own part, but then you put it all together and it sounds very complex.
Yeah.
But you were playing lead.
Mm-hmm.
Where did that come from?
Well,
inspirationally.
Yeah, it started when I was playing steel drums in my high school. I actually went in, that was my freshman arts class. And I stayed all 4 years. It's been interesting. And there was parts where we had to take solos and all. And then
Really?
finally, halfway through my senior year, all of the stuff that my drum instructor or my jazz professor, same guy, we're talking about all that music theory stuff, and I was like, what if I used that? Like, if I actually used the stuff that we've been practicing this whole time.
And you applied it to the steel drum.
And I applied it to my
my
instrument
God.
during my solos in the steel drums class. Though it came to me, I actually played Boplicity at my school just to test it out.
Dude, that was my favorite. That healed me so bad that night, man. That was, I haven't heard that tune in a long time.
It's one of my favorite jazz pieces. So,
Let me ask you though. I mean, so you when you took this concept to your teachers, were they receptive to it?
Yeah, they were pretty encouraging of it.
They were like, "This kid's he's not going to be able to pull it." And then you were.
I originally started wanting to try playing the steel pan in jazz because I heard this recording of The Chicken by Jaco Pastorius that has a steel drum soloist in it. And I was just like, oh, geez.
Yeah, Andy Narell is the only cat that comes to mind who could really improvise hard on steel drums. If you don't know him, I'll hip you to him because he was an old school cat. Can I just ask you about like the tone? You know, like to me, like how is the differentiation between the tone on your drum kit and the tone in the steel drum, especially during a solo? Not like you're soloing all the time on the drums. But tone and touch, how are they different?
Well, I guess when I'm playing drums, I feel a different sense of energy because I'm using all my limbs and I feel more energetic. I want to move more. Though it's I've kind of adapted more to listening to the people around me when I'm playing because in the end I am just playing a beat sometimes. And I'm like, I try to listen. I either have like a very energetic feel when I'm trying to play drums or a very mellow feel. I guess it depends on
like if it's a ballad or something.
Yeah, it depends on whether or not I'm playing with sticks or brushes, I guess.
Totally.
Because I guess the two give me different emotions when I use the two. Though, when I'm playing the steel drum, it sometimes it gives me the feeling of wanting to dance, you know? Sometimes I feel like... it feels like it hits home sometimes with, because I guess it's the only melodic instrument I can really play for the most part. And it's like, with just the flick of my wrist, I can play a line.
Did you find, the one thing I was listening, not that the recording sound was great, but you know, it's not like you have a pickup or a monitor. Do you have to hit harder on the steel drum in order to generate sonically?
Well,
you can demonstrate.
The thing with like it is there's the lower notes, those are pretty loud, but with the higher notes, they're a little quieter. But and then with the highest notes in like the middle, you have to hit hard.
Right, it's a little denser.
Yeah, you have to hit a little harder, and they're like the risky notes. Because it's like, they're the easily detunable ones.
Wow.
And you have to call a guy who comes from like, probably Phoenix or something to hit it with a hammer and then you have to still pay for it. And it's like, so ideally, I like to save the high notes for when I'm actually gonna use them.
Absolutely. But the ones on the side are the timbre is it's shinier. It has more projection.
Yeah, it's got a lot more projection, which is they actually did mic up the steel drum at the jam.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, but I had to mic it up right at the middle because that's where it starts getting quieter, and the outer parts can be amplified pretty well. Though
Let me ask you, like, at this point in your, how how easy is it for you to stay in the moment? What I mean by that is you're a recent graduate. You're obviously a very talented musician, and we have many in this town and all over the country. And the the society's view of a musician has changed a lot in terms of as a profession. In terms of a lot of people now see music as a musician's gift to the world. And one of the reasons I continue to do the Jake Feinberg show is to enlighten cats to the point where musicians are paid as well as medical doctors, because they are healers, and music and rhythm was used to heal back before modern medicine took over. And I just wanted to know about, without projecting too far ahead, where are the areas you need to grow the most, musically or personally, right now?
Well, I guess.
And you can say, I'm just enjoying the summer, Jake.
Well, that is true.
Yeah.
Though, I guess when I realized I was gonna start graduating, I decided to actually start playing my steel pan a little more. So I started just learning pieces. Cause I was just like, I've got this thing here.
Right.
I'm gonna use it. And
like American Songbook standards, or when you say pieces, or just making up your
well,
own?
like the jazz real book pieces.
Got it.
I have a PDF of them on my phone, so I just print out pieces of sheet music. And I was like, okay, I'll learn these, so for when I go to the Max Goldschmidt jam, I'm gonna be ready to do some stuff.
Dig.
And I actually had learned a couple pieces. I wanted to do Armando's Rumba, but unfortunately not enough people knew how to play it, but it's like one of my favorite pieces. So one day, maybe, you never know.
I gotta look that up. Is that Armando Peraza? Who's the Armando there?
Chick Corea.
That definitely is dedicated to Armando, the great conga player with George Shearing. That is unbelievable. So tell me about your.
The thing is, Chick Corea's name is Armando.
You're right. And actually, nobody knows this, but Chick was originally a drummer.
Really?
Yeah, he did. His first band he was in with Barry Miles. He played drums. Sick drummer. Yeah.
Oh.
And Elvin Jones played piano and all this crazy stuff too. But you learn this along the way. I mean, do you just feel like, how are you just final question is just like, how have you learned to control what you have no control over? And that means because if you're going to pursue this, this is not, you're not playing free music, but just in general, being a thoughtful, spiritual musician, it can be a little bit thankless. And I just wanted you to talk a little bit about, where you're at right now, mentally.
Well, I'm pretty all right. I guess there were a couple bumps and curves along the way, but I guess what you said about having no control over something, I guess sometimes it's just not too great to worry too much about it, because like if you had no control over it, then what can you really do?
So I tell my older daughter every day. She's at Princeton, and just part of it is also when you can surrender, you can kind of enjoy life more too. Mm-hmm. But man, David, go ahead.
I've had like just moments. It's like I'm always down sometimes. I'm always thinking about like moments things that I could have done differently in different moments. Sometimes I feel sentimental about things that I don't got anymore, but then I realize there's nothing I can do.
And if you did your best and you laid it, I mean, the other night was just so cathartic, David. And I just wanted to say, man, you want to finish with a little improv before we go?
Yeah. Though that wasn't my first time at the jazz jam, by the way.
You played drums before? This is the first time with steel?
I've played drums before.
First time with steel, though.
I've actually sang there a couple times.
I would love to see you on kit too.
It's yeah.
It would be, or even just let's get your trio together back from high school and cook a little bit.
Yeah. Though, yeah, I think I'm actually gonna. I've been calling a couple of my friends. We're gonna probably go to that jam session again on Sunday.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Cool.
Yeah, and
And,
yeah, bring your sticks, dude.
Yeah, I sang a couple times there.
Wow.
What I actually cold turkeyed it. I didn't practice for it at all.
Oh my God.
I pulled out "But Not For Me," and I was like, "Okay, Spencer, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna look up the lyrics, and we're just gonna go for it. We're already on the sign-up list. It's too late. We're already in.
I love it, dude. And you know what? Please keep bringing the younger cats, man.
Yeah, I also play drums in a rock band with my friends for the most part. We play in a band for alternative rock, like based off of grunge and Nirvana and stuff like that. Called the Comets.
Right.
CALMETS.
Well, if you guys got some gigs, you got to let me know too.
Well, I think we've got one in I don't know, June 14th at the Groundworks.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're on my radar, man. It's an honor to connect with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, it was a ball. Why don't you play something to keep people inspired, man? It's the Jake Feinberg Show. We'll see you later.